Good morning, Coastal Bend. It is 10:35 a.m. Let me talk right. I'm meteorologist Carly Smith. We are tracking some spotty storms in the area. These have really impacted Corpus Christi throughout the day today, but that's not the case for everyone across the Coastal Bend. I also just want to emphasize that these storms are not super strong. We're not tracking super high-end wind gusts. They are dumping some heavy rain at times. That limits visibility, makes it difficult to drive. You can see the tell of two stories here, one side, right side of the screen. It is very dark, and on the left side of the screen, it is sunny. And that's pretty much going to be the case throughout the day. So here's the latest live look at radar this morning. We do have a storm that is dumping some heavy rainfall there between Gregory and Portland right now. 10:35 a.m. again is your current time. Thank you so much for joining this live update. Hey there, Coastal Bend. Once again, I'm meteorologist Carly Smith. Here's the latest look where we do have lightning turned on, so no lightning within this storm. Your time now is 10:36 a.m. on this Friday, September 12th. We are watching these spotty storms just pass over Corpus Christi. There's been several that have ridden right along Ocean Drive and SPID. Dumping some heavy rainfall at times, really limiting visibility. Again, I think that's the biggest takeaway is these are not producing super strong wind gusts. Here's our peak gust from this morning. 28 miles per hour, 21 miles per hour, 22 miles per hour. So nothing too crazy. There have been some reports of water spouts, or I don't know if they've officially made it to the ground, but tropical funnels definitely off near the coast. That does tend to happen when we do have light winds at the surface and stronger winds aloft. So our current wind speeds right now are picking up at Port Aransas, but they're about 5 miles per hour or less across the majority of the Coastal Bend, really 10 miles per hour or less. Aloft, we've got some strong winds, and aloft, I mean up in the atmosphere where the storms are, these storms are moving. They're not really parked over one spot. They're not stationary. They're moving. They're getting going. They're dumping some rain and moving on. And so you'll see those winds in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere are much stronger. That's what's pushing these storms to the west and northwest as we continue off and on through the morning. But this is our healthiest storm this morning right here that's over the causeway. Our Lex camera is down, so we can't take a good look at this storm, but right over the New Harbor Bridge, Portland, Gregory, Taft. This will continue to track to the north, but watch what happens with a lot of these storms. So there's been two that have popped up right over our studio, or right over really the Island University. Let's go there. So we're at the Island University. Let me get a pointing tool so we can look at it right here. So you see one storm pass and then another one pass. The first one that passed has already died, and that's really the case with a lot of these. There are some, it looks like, outflow boundaries that have allowed a few new storms to develop there north of Bengueti, as well as out toward Alice and along Bishop, but those storms weakening as well. You see this storm pop up and then it weakens and then another storm moves in. We've got one there in Chapman, or crossing over into the Nueces County line. So yeah, this is kind of, if you enjoy rain and just looking at cloud formations, this is a really perfect day for you because again, these storms aren't super strong. Yes, there have been some tropical funnels. Those are super weak. Even if they were to touch the ground and be like a land spout or a water spout or even a weak tornado, they're usually very, 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 very weak. We're talking EF0 or less really in terms of our wind. So yeah, post your questions in the comments, and I just want to thank everyone again for watching. We're going to zoom out now and take a look at the bigger picture. We've got a lot of activity down south toward Baffin Bay, but just look at how tiny these storms are for a second with me. So our strongest storm is north of Portland, and even this storm is only like 8 miles wide. This one out toward Alice, 3 miles. This little one out near Petronila, 2 miles. So these storms are very tiny, and like I said, we put it in motion, they're moving. So I don't expect flooding issues. There can be low visibility, which does impact driving. It is difficult to drive in heavy rainfall. A lot of people are like, oh, Corpus drivers are horrible. Everyone says that in the rain. it is difficult to drive in the rain. I don't think we should discount that. The road's a little bit damper. We still want to go fast, and you just can't do that, you know? So anyway, when it comes to rainfall over the last 6 hours, some of those radar estimated rainfall totals, I'm going to post an official rainfall map from midnight to 11 a.m. this morning once we get to the 11 o'clock hour. But what I want to point out here is rainfall totals over the last 6 hours are still pretty light. We're talking maybe a ½ inch to 1.4 inches, but that's over water. Corpus Christi, 0.5 inches. So yeah, overall, we're talking a few tenths of an inch, and that's with storms passing over the same area several times. Here's one more look at the bigger picture. Now we're going to get into the forecast. So we have seen several passing storms on our camera out near Petronila this morning. Temperatures are already at 83 degrees. Without rain, we will easily make it into the 90s. Now the rain may briefly cool things off here or there. On Futurecast, I do want to emphasize that it does look more isolated as we get into the afternoon. And again, area football games, I'm not too worried about rain. We should see our rain chances trending down towards 7 p.m. at Friday. As the sun sets, rain will definitely dissipate by then. And as we're headed out the door into Saturday, there are a few showers that may pop up into Saturday morning, but overall coverage is trending down into the weekend. So for your weekend forecast, we're talking 95 degrees for both days, 10 to 20% chance of rain. By the way, it's rained a lot in Corpus Christi. I'll give that to you. You could argue that's 100% chance of rain, right? If it's actively raining. However, coverage-wise, this is still probably really only maybe like 10% of the entire coastal bend, if that is seeing some rainfall. So coverage is still very slim, but we are seeing some kind of training storms that are kind of following over the same place that have made it feel a little bit more rainy for some than others, like Hebronville, Benavides, Falfurrias. Really hasn't seen much rain at all this morning. So we went through Futurecast, we're on the weekend, and now take a look at this. Hotter conditions, well, that's because of high pressure. We're in the mid-90s. Yesterday, we made it, let's pull up the almanac real fast. Let me know in the comments if you've seen the rain this morning and how you feel about the rain. Do you like it? Yesterday we made it to 95 degrees, so I don't think today is really any different. We may stay at 94. Our average high is 92. So yeah, we are still trending hot, and that is because of the high pressure I showed you. But let's go back to this because this is going to be important for the next graphic that I'm going to show you. So high pressure dominating, that's a big role, playing a big role in our forecast. As this high pressure kind of weakens, it does allow for some storm energy to sneak into the coastal bend heading into Sunday, Monday time frame. However, that's not the only thing you need to be confident in rain. And so our high pressure is weakening. That helps boost rain chances, right? Especially over more of the central part of the Lone Star State. If you're under the center of high pressure, you typically don't get rain because that is sinking air. You're not getting strong winds aloft like we're seeing. Yeah, high pressure, lighter winds, less rain chances. We're on the edge of that high, so that's allowing our winds to kind of pick up because we've got a changing pressure, our pressure gradient. Then the higher pressure gradient force leads to higher wind speeds. And so we do have some stronger winds in the upper levels, which is what's pushing those storms inland. Onshore flow is back. More humidity at the surface does lead to a higher storm opportunity, but not always. We saw really high humidity in 2023, right? But we are mostly just extra hot. Kingsville had a heat index around 125 that whole season, so not fabulous. The question that we're going to answer in the rest of this forecast is, but do we have moisture? And if you're watching First Edition, in any of the 4 hours that we now stream on 3 News Plus from 5 to 9 a.m., basically, I talked about this almost every weather hit because I think it is important. High pressure creates sinking air. Watch also, this high pressure is pretty much in part over the southeast since the cold front passed through last weekend. And so it's been much drier there. There's not a whole lot of rain that is shaped up across the southeast. Typically at this time, Florida is getting pop-up showers. There's afternoon, it's not quite afternoon yet, but lunchtime heat tends to create pop-up summertime storms there in the southeast, and they're not seeing that in this pattern, right? That's because drier air has filtered in behind that front, and it's been that way most of this week. We still have moisture today. That's why we're getting some of these kind of tropical in nature downpours that are limiting visibility on our roads, but they're moving quickly. So again, I don't anticipate flooding, and this is really the only day we have green on the map. Once we get into Saturday and Sunday, we really lose that tropical moisture, or the moisture that comes out of the Gulf. We tap more into the dry air that's been over the southeast, and we are going to see our rain chances likely trend down because of this. I'm not overly confident in our rain because we're going to be pretty dry. Now, today is our best shot of rain. I think that's where most of this rainfall forecast comes from, is today. Heading into the next couple of days, the rain starts to be limited. So you'll see that on Futurecast. Today is a pretty good shot of rain. I think this model kind of a little bit optimistic for both Saturday and Sunday, but overall, rain chances pretty isolated over the weekend. I think we see more sunshine than rain. Beach camera isn't on this computer. I forgot that. So I was just going to show you the storms out that direction. That's where I've seen the most tropical funnel reports near the coast, Port Aransas, Padre Island region. But overall in the next 7 days, as I mentioned, rain chances trending down. Today is really our best shot of rain, and our temperatures really don't change too much. So we're going to take one last look at radar, and then I'll look at the comments. A little bit of rain samples in Saratoga. If you have rainfall totals to report, please do so. I would love to see them. We still have some energy that's coming off the Gulf, but there's not a whole lot that's forming. Well, we lose radar, but it's starting to look a little bit less active over the Gulf than it was earlier this morning. So I think that's a sign of the rain trending down into the second half of the day. But this storm right here is really popping off, and by popping off, I mean it's producing some rain. It does look like it may be weakening as it continues its trek toward Odom and Sinton. But that's really the strongest storm we have, and it's not producing that strong of wind. When we turn on our velocity, right, those are still pretty dull colors associated with this storm. And so wind gust, maybe 20 miles per hour. So yeah, these are not overly strong storms, but they are producing some higher rain. I believe this is actually the last 3 hours, there may have been an inch of rainfall in the Portland-Gregory area. So it wouldn't surprise me if the National Weather Service at least thought about a flood advisory for this area. But the storm is moving, right? So you see it over 181 right here. And then, so that was at 10:10, and now 10:50 would be 40 minutes. So in the last 40 minutes, the storm has moved 10 miles. So I would say 15 miles an hour, give or take 15 to 20, is where we would rank this motion. So it is moving. We put it in the map, you see it moves into that area over the last hour. So again, that's why I'm not worried about flooding or any major impacts, but yeah, it can dampen your day, make your commute, your driving a little difficult at times. Just use caution, y'all. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend ahead. I am meteorologist Carly Smith, and I'm signing off from the